Welcome to Converge 2022. I'm Ashley McGlone from the Tanium Tech Talk Show, and I'm here with Stephanie Aceves, one of my coworkers here at Tanium. And she has had a storied career in a few years here already. So I'd like you to meet Stephanie because I want to talk about full circle customer feedback. This is something we talk about on the show frequently, is customer feedback and how it makes a difference when you tell us what you need. So Stephanie, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you. It's like so exciting to be back in Converge and see everyone. Ashley and I started together in the Southeast pod as TAMs. So it's really nice to connect again.
Yes, it is. So good to just see people
Yeah,
in person instead of Zoom.
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your career journey at Tanium.
Sure. So I came to Tanium in 2018. And back in 2018, I started off as a TAM. My background was heavy in security. So I was consulting, doing red team consulting prior to Tanium. And I still remember the first demo, I was floored. I was like, I have to work for this company. This is incredible. Since that time, I worked as a TAM. I did that about 2 years at Tanium and then got very excited to help build out Tanium in Latin America. So we had a couple of prospects in Mexico, and I wanted to practice my technical Spanish. And so I spent about a year doing pre-sales and kind of partner enablement in Latin America. Let me tell you, I do not speak Portuguese, but I can understand it with the Spanish. So some fun calls with prospects in Brazil. They're speaking Portuguese, I'm speaking Spanish, and we're kind of piecing together what we're going for. And so spent about a year doing that, then switched over back into the security side. Like I missed being in the weeds with a lot of the technology, and led our team of subject matter experts for threat response for about, I think that was like 4 months, and then all of a sudden I'm in product, and I now oversee the investigation and response portfolio at Tanium, which includes a number of products like threat response, so my first love at Tanium, threat response, reveal, integrity monitor, performance, and some new work that we're doing in the EUEM space.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk to you at this stage in your career is because you were collecting feedback from
Yes.
customers as a TAM. Now you're in a PM role where you can implement that feedback.
Yeah.
So what does that circle look like?
It's probably one of my favorite parts of my career is having had the hands-on experience with the technology, also having experience as somebody who could have been an end user of the product. And so hearing from customers and having supported customers as a TAM and retaining those relationships and hearing the parts of the technology that they love and how to keep kind of pouring into and developing and adding value in the way that they're already using the technology, but also the parts that they hate. Like I am a glutton for punishment. I love feedback, and I always tell my customers and my team, I'm really hard to offend. I don't take things personally. So if you tell me that something sucks, it excites me because like the TAM problem solver in me is like, let's find a way to make this suck less. So that feedback is super, super helpful to help drive the strategy that, when I'm looking at the portfolio of products and when I'm speaking to the rest of the product team. But I just remember, this week at Converge on the main stage, I talked about operational investigations. And as much as I would love to pretend that I'm the mastermind behind this came from watching my customers use Tanium Threat Response, use Trace to solve operational issues. And this came from hands-on TAM days. And now in the product role, I spend a lot of time in customer meetings, just getting feedback. That's one of the reasons I love Converge. If you have been here, you just get into conversations with people and they tell you about how they're using the product and how they've found ways to kind of morph it into what they need. And my vision is to make the technology just so easy to use. You don't have to morph things. Like out of the box, it does what you want and it solves the problems you need, but also to retain the extensibility so that if there is some new creative thing that you need to do, you have that power. So,
And you've got focus group sessions going this week. So
Yes,
tell
yeah.
me, what have you been hearing so far?
I think selfishly, because again, love the feedback, I loved our focus group. So we have a tool here that we used at Converge this week that we were able to survey the focus groups and ask questions and see live results of what they were responding. And the focus group, I'd ask questions like, how many alerts are you dealing with a day? Like how many, and then one of the good questions that I learned a lot from, I said, how many active pieces of intel do you have in one average day, right? Active intel to me is, these are things that I still care about, and I'm willing to pay the resource cost on the endpoint to tell me if it exists or not. And it's just fascinating for me to see the range. So some folks that use threat response with an EDR, they really focus threat response on maybe 100 pieces of active intel, and they're all signals, right? We have other folks that use threat response in conjunction, in concert with intel providers, and they have feeds. And so their demand for active intel, they have a larger appetite. And so looking at, like the little investigator in me looks at these things and gets excited to say, okay, well, this type of team that has access to these technologies or this type of talent is going to look for these things and these problems to solve. And these other teams, which are equally important, have these other use cases, these other needs. And so finding a way to really, again, boil that down. I am lazy in the best way, and I think most of us in IT are this way, where it's like, I don't want to be doing, if it's hard, like I'm going to find a way to make it less hard. And so now having the power in product to make the product less hard, I make a huge focus to hear about the things that people just get annoyed with. Like that's usually a good indication of like, there's something we can do here.
So speaking of which, you just had 2 releases recently.
Yes.
So give us an example of something that went full circle in customer feedback there. You caught that from the customer and now it's in.
Yeah, so process injection visibility was a big one.
Okay.
And I think that one was just a lot of customers really wanted this visibility because they're already using Tanium to dive deep into some of these incidents. And so they would have to pivot outside into other technologies to see if these things were happening. So now having that, again, kind of in that concert with the rest of the story that Tanium is telling was super helpful. A less, we'll say, like big feature kind of feedback that it shows kind of what came in. So on-demand scans is also released. It's part of Threat Response 3.8. And on-demand scans is like quick scans done way better. And so quick scans they enable users, they empower users to send a piece of intel to their estate and not wait for the regular intel evaluation in the background. They say, I need to know now, does this thing have a match? Now, I remember back in the TAM days, quick scans, super helpful, but they had certain limitations that would drive me mad. And again, I wanted to be lazy with these things, but I couldn't because it just wasn't built into the product. So things like, hey, if I'm doing my job correctly and I'm creating suppression rules around my intel and I'm fine tuning my intel, you would hit a point where essentially the intel document got too large for the Tanium platform to send to actually evaluate as a quick scan. And so before I was in product, that was just like it was like a fact of Tanium. And it's just one of those things that we're like, well, I have a rock in my shoe, but it's been there so long. Like, it's just I live with this annoying thing, right?
Uh-huh.
That doesn't have to be how we do things. And so I love being able to have that feedback and then deliver the solution. We have a lot of customers that also use on-demand scanning, not just for intel evaluation, but for actual like, hey, we have an indicator, we have an active threat. And they want to be able to scan quickly, right? The problem was they also have blockout windows configured so that they don't do scanning during business hours. And so something as simple as like allowing them that checkbox to override blockout windows, it's funny because it's something that's pretty trivial to deliver, but I'm not in there every day running these scans. So until we hear that feedback, it's like, oh, that's easy. That's like bringing a lemon with your water. Like I can do that any day, all day. Tell me if I love to do those things. So a lot of good stories there around really listening to what our customers are asking about. And like I said, I selfishly love hearing all the things, good or bad, because it generates ideas. It helps just add value, and help the smart people like keep solving the world's problems.
So that we have a lot of people watching us who weren't able to be here in a focus group this week. So what's the best way for them to get you that feedback that you're looking for?
Yeah, so if you actively have a TAM, I think that's a really good place. I think I try to be super available, but I know like we have a lot of customers and I'm one person. But other ways to do feedback, I think do we have an avenue for customers that don't have TAMs supporting?
Support channel.
Okay.
Standard support channels.
So opening tickets, I think, is a really good way. Typically, that will trigger a workflow where our enterprise service specialists will basically come in and take that feedback. They will get it to me through our different kind of workflows. We have a number of PMs now that look at all these new tickets that are opened. So as soon as something comes in, we look at it, and I promise you, we look at it. And so if there's ever feedback, you have ideas, like create a ticket. Say, hey, this part of my job is pretty difficult, or I really don't like this. Can we add this other thing? Or this part is amazing. Please make more of things like this. And that feedback comes into Tanium, and it goes into our channels. And then PM, I promise you, we're looking at it. We love this kind of stuff.
Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes with me today. I had to chase her down, folks. This is a busy lady
They've
right
had
here.
me busy.
She was on the main stage. She's doing all these breakouts. So thank you for sitting down for just a few minutes here with us.
Yeah, this is
to
great.
help our viewers understand the full circle of customer feedback. We talk about that all the time on the show. So now you've got an example. The feedback in the threat response, we're seeing it. And, we've both been here for 5 years. And just seeing how far things have come, all because of your feedback. So number one, thank you for your feedback. And number two,
Absolutely.
keep it coming.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.